What's good, everyone? It's your boy Nazi with another video for the channel. Welcome back to the MV Sports Zone. And I got the man, the myth, the legend. That is Pedro Schmith. One of my good friends told me that Pedro Schmith is the CNN, is the MSNBC, is the Fox News for those people who prefer that network of Washington Commanders reporting. So Pedro, thank you for joining, bro. I appreciate you for coming on. And for the few people out there who don't know who you are, could you plug your channels or anything that you have going?
Yeah, appreciate you for having me on. So yeah, just the name that's on the screen right there, Pedro Schmith, that's my channel name. I post usually daily content on the Washington Commanders now, news videos, guys I think we should sign free agency, draft stuff, and then in the season, post-game reactions, previews, all the good stuff.
Yep. And Fight for ODC's first one in the chat. I hope you're not referencing Troy Aikman here, because I don't know about Troy Aikman counting as an actual announcer. I mean, he is, but like, I think we blasted him a lot on this channel and on your channel, probably Pedro as well. But I don't know. I don't know about that. But the biggest news of the day, potential news, I should say, was from the NFL Rumors account, and you could say whatever you want about that account, but they've reported some accurate stuff over the last couple of years, and we'll just be talking about the possibility of this happening. What are your thoughts on the Washington Commanders expected to / potentially releasing Landon Collins from the team?
I mean, I think it's definitely a possibility. I think I just don't see him coming back on that 16 point whatever $1 million cap hit. I just don't. I mean, I don't see how anyone thinks he's worth that amount. I mean, he was okay to good as a linebacker for us, but the thing is, Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb are outside linebackers. I mean, maybe Jamin eventually could be in the middle, but I really don't see that. So it's already going to be hard to have Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb play a ton because I think like they only have two outside linebackers on the field about 35% of the time, something like that on average. It's in that 30 to 40% range. So already that's kind of pushing it, in terms of like you want your first round pick out there. So if you have Landon Collins out there too, I mean, that's just going to be really hard to have all of those guys playing, meaningful snaps. And then, maybe, I mean, Landon Collins is a little bit different position, more as, that big nickel, but still, I think Landon Collins, for him to come back this year, it's going to have to be at a pretty big either pay cut or contract restructure or both. Like, give him a little bit more, signing bonus. A lot of these teams are restructuring deals, but I also think a pay cut is in order too, because he's not worth $16 million a year. He's not an elite linebacker in this league. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. He definitely proved a lot of us, including myself, wrong this past season with his performance and how well he played. But he got injured, and yeah, I agree with you. He's not worth $60 million a year. And if he doesn't agree to a pay cut or to money being converted to being off the books or off the cap, I should say, then yeah, I mean, you pretty much have no choice but to cut him. But Fight for DC is still very adamant about liking the new potential ESPN crew. The rumor is Al Michaels is going to go with him. I did not hear that, but if that happens, that's interesting because didn't Eminem, Marshall Mathers, and Al Michaels have a combo after, or it was before or after the Super Bowl, talking about how Al Michaels might retire?
Yeah. I think his contract's coming up soon, so yeah.
Yep. Al Michaels and Troy Aikman 100 times better than the current Monday Night Football crew. I like Louis Riddick out of the crew, but I guess I could do away with it, the other two people.
Yeah, Louis Riddick is solid. The other two and the Manning cast, I think it's entertaining, but like if you're watching to actually watch the game,
Yeah.
I don't think it's it. I think it's a little overrated. Like it is fun a little bit, but like they don't focus on the game at all. And I think the technical issues, they should try to get that fixed because it's like they talk and then it's like they wait 5-10 seconds before the next person talks. And then when there's three people on, it's a whole mess. So I think it's very entertaining, but like, in terms of actually if my team is playing, I would never watch the Manning cast.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us talked about on Twitter that we were thankful that they did not have the Manning cast during the Monday night Washington football team at the time versus Seattle Seahawks game, because I don't think many of us would have watched that if they actually happened, because it's more so a thing like if your team is not playing and you just want to have an excuse to watch Monday Night Football, I feel like I agree with you. The Manning cast would have been perfect for you. But Washington Commanders talk. So, what are your thoughts on the thumbnail? Thoughts on the Commanders organization finally changing the crest after fan outcry over the last couple of weeks?
I think it was the right move. It's the right move. And I thought they should change it, but I wasn't going crazy, this is the end of the world, like some people were. I was like, this is a simple thing that, first of all, I understand it, but come on, you had a year and a half and you couldn't get the right dates. Like that to me, I love Jason Wright and I like some of the people in the new, rebrand thing, but that's to me is very embarrassing. I mean, you have a year and a half, 2 years, and I don't even think it really came across their mind because I feel like if it did, they would have really thought about it and maybe asked the fans or gone through with it a little bit more because I think anyone outside of that law firm type of people that are just going, okay, we're going to go by the dates because that's probably what happened. They didn't think about it. But if they would have gotten to an outside group, any other person in the NFL or, someone who worked here, earlier, I think they would have been like, no way you can do that. They would have put that. Yeah. So I don't know. For me, it's just I don't know how you made the mistake to begin with. But I like that they did, pretty quickly within 2 weeks or something, 2.5, 3 weeks. They were able to change it. Well, first off, Bruce Allen, I don't think he would have made this mistake, but he wouldn't have, if he made a mistake like this, he wouldn't have gone back from it and, fixed it. He would have stuck with it. So I'm happy that they did make, the right change, but it's very concerning that they made the mistake in the first place. Because it's simple.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wasn't all up in arms about this crest and the dates being wrong, but I will say this: a lot of people forget the crest. The crest is like a British thing, right? And it signifies important dates, right? Momentous dates within an organization or memorable dates, right? So I understood where they were coming from by putting the dates of or the years of when they actually won the Super Bowl. But I like that they corrected it, and at this point, it's time to move on. Let's talk about the quarterback situation. Let's talk about more important things pertaining to this Washington Commanders team, because the crest is definitely not one of them. But last thoughts on this whole rebranding process. What is your overall grade on it? What is your overall grade on it, considering the crest, considering the name rollout, considering everything, the jackets, the Letterman jackets, everything you could think of?
I don't know. I think it's hard to put a grade on it. I mean, the name itself is it's an average name. I just think at this point it's hard to come up with that much better of a name. There were better options in my opinion, but it's there's so many sports teams all over, basketball, football, soccer, MLB, hockey. So there's so many team names already that are taken. And I mean, if you look around the NFL, other sports leagues, a lot of the names are basic. I mean, a lot of the names are basic. I know the Browns were named after Paul Brown, but that's such a stupid name, and their logo is stupid. Imagine if we were the Washington Snyders. You know what I mean? It just sounds ridiculous. And I mean, I don't care how great of an owner you were. So at the end of the day, in a few years, in a year, 6 months, whatever, we're going to be, the name, in my opinion, isn't a huge deal. The logo, I think they could have been a little bit more creative with it, but I do like the hat there. It looks good. I like the logo. They could have been a little, like I said, more creative with it. With the catchphrase or the slogan, hashtag take command. It was literally in the a bio of the XFL Commanders or whatever it was. So like that is, I don't know, they could have been more creative with that. So I don't know. I think it's like a below average. So whatever you like, C minus. If you're saying a C is average, then I'll go like C minus. Around that. It wasn't. It would definitely like they could have been also more creative with it. Like it was just very basic in my opinion. I mean, we're in 2022, and I think there's a lot more things they could have done with it. Uniforms for me, I like the red ones or the burgundy ones. There's some things could change there, but I like those. The white ones, I need to see those in game for me to really give my feel on it because I already know what the burgundy ones are going to look like. The white ones, I think they look really clean, but they don't. Especially when I first saw them, I was like, "That's just not Washington." So we'll see if it grows on me, and I think we'll see. Yeah, it's. I need to see it first. That's my take on there. And the black ones, I like them. I mean, you look at it. Jonathan Allen made it look bad. I think the way they presented it, like with the helmet, like if you look Gibson, him in the helmet does not look as bad as Jonathan Allen did. I don't know why, but it just
the face mask.
Yeah, face mask. So I mean, I think the black one's probably my second favorite. I like them. I think the uniforms I would give like a B grade. I think the uniforms were solid. There's, again, there's little things in there, but got to see them on the players, and then I think it'll grow on me. So yeah, kind of C minus grade. They didn't do terrible, but they definitely didn't do great.
Telling you, bro, great minds think alike. I'll say it again. I wrote down in my notes that I'm giving the team a C minus as well in the team rebranding process. I'm gonna keep it honest. I say this every single stream, but my U Chicago brother Jason Wright, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the work that he's doing, but I'm not gonna lie, this team rebranding process has not gone smoothly. Obviously, with the whole name being leaked and stuff, and I was of the mindset that like, if you really wanted the name to be, if you wanted the name announcement to be a big deal, then why not wait to sell merchandise until the day after, so you wouldn't have to worry about that situation where the helicopter swooped in and like looked at like the name being already like put up in a sign at FedEx Field, and like the merchandise, pictures of the merchandise being taken by like people who work for the team and stuff. Like you wouldn't have to worry about that situation if you waited at least a day after to sell the merchandise. But in terms of the uniforms, I agree with you. I like the burgundy ones. I like the black ones. White ones, agree with you there. I think I'll wait for it to grow on me. But the thing that I do not like, I still don't like, is that gold W on the front of the black helmets, bro. I know it's been a couple weeks, bro. I've seen numerous pictures of it, whether it be on Antonio Gibson's helmet, Jonathan Allen's helmet, anybody's helmet. I don't like it. I really don't. They need to take it off. I'm sorry. I prefer just the number on the side like they have it now, and the I think it's the DC logo on the back of it. But the black uniform itself is clean. It's clean. It's definitely my favorite one.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to say is that theory I have is that they actually kind of not. I don't think like the helicopters was them, but I think like the weeks before. I honestly think there's a chance that they leaked it out themselves, like Jason Wright, the logo on his lap. Because here's the thing. No one, especially not a lot of people, didn't like the Commander's name when they dropped it, but at least they knew especially the last week where Theismann leaked it and like other things happened as well, where like, okay, all signs are pointing to Commanders for really the 2 weeks prior to the name launch, like simple things that, you don't think a multi-billion-dollar organization would do, like would be that bad in terms of like leaking it. They did, and I think that they did it to kind of ease into the name so that fans wouldn't be shocked when they said the new name is Commanders. Everyone knew it was Commanders the day of it, especially the day before and the weeks prior to. So that's just a little theory I have.
Yep. But like I said, like let's move a little bit off of the rebranding stuff and let's move to the team as is and the team that we hope the Commanders becomes over the course of this offseason. So who out of the potential crop of quarterbacks via trade or via free agency would you like to see here in DC, and who do you think is the most realistic out of these guys?
So out of the big names, I guess I would go Russell Wilson first, just because Watson is still like it's up in the air. If he gets cleared, I would go Watson first just because, he's younger. He's under contract for, I think, 4 more years. And like some people might think, well, 40 million, that's a ton of money. It's going to be little money in like a couple years. The cap is going to go up, and there's going to be quarterbacks making $45-50 million a year. So I think he's in that 40 range. So he's like the second or third highest paid quarterback in the league. In a couple years, few years, he'll be like in that top 10 range, which I think is a pretty good deal. You're going to have to give out a ton for him, but if he's cleared, that would probably be my number one. But again, that's a big caveat there. And if not, I'll go Russell Wilson. But I do think it's unrealistic for both of them. Russell Wilson, I think I would say like 20% chance he gets traded, maybe 25. So then that's
and that's traded overall, right?
Yeah, that's not traded overall. That's a 1 in 4, 1 in 5 chance just of going to Washington, or just of getting traded. And then you have to factor then it's like a 1 in 6 chance after that just of him getting traded here. So very small probability. But if a trade is if he does want to get traded and the Seahawks grant him that wish, I think we would be one of those teams that he would consider going to. It just, would mean it would just come down to how much are we willing to give up, because we're probably going to have to give up more than an AFC team just because, they don't want to play him as much. It's not going to be a huge difference, but it will be a little bit different. Like if we have one offer and, the Colts have the same offer or the Steelers have the same offer, they're going to go with those teams because they don't want to play them. Even if it's just 1 or 2 more times in every 4 years, it's still a big deal. So I think they're not realistic, but you got to hope. I think Russell Wilson, though, next offseason could definitely be like, if they have another down year, I think he's 100% out if they don't make the playoffs this year. And then out of the second tier guys, my favorite one is Winston, honestly. I've been saying this for a long, long time. This past season, I was saying it. I think he would be a good bridge option. None of these second options are gonna be franchise quarterbacks, or if they are, it's a very, very, very low chance. Like Mitch Trubisky, Jameis Winston, Mariota, those guys. Again, don't think they're gonna be franchise guys, but those guys were all top 2 picks, so they have the chance, but it's very low. But none of these guys are going to be your franchise quarterback in the future. It's just who can really get you 8-9 wins for this year, or have them pair him with a rookie who can develop that rookie quarterback. And that's why I think Carson Wentz probably is out of the equation, because unless you're just upfront with him when you're signing him or trading for him, we're drafting a QB this year. We're going to be drafting a quarterback in the first or second round. And if you're not okay with that, if you can't take that, then sorry, we're not signing you. But yeah, none of these second tier quarterbacks really excite me too much, besides maybe Jameis Winston as a guy that can get you 8, 9, 10 wins, because he had 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions this past season. I know it was I don't know, it was a little fluky some of the games, but still I like him, and I think he had a rushing touchdown as well. They were 5-2, and his offense was not that great. He had Kamara, but Michael Thomas was out. I think one of the other receivers was out, and the offensive line was injured. And he wasn't amazing, but he did enough to get them to 5-2, and we could have that similar formula where he can get us some wins, and he doesn't have to play amazing, but he can play solid and get us some wins, and you can get a rookie behind him.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Jameis Winston would probably be the most realistic guy. I don't want Jimmy G here, and I sure as heck don't want Mitch Trubisky here. But no, I agree with. He was 5-2. His number one receiver for most of the season was Marquise Callaway. Who wouldn't be a number one receiver on any NFL team, on any other NFL team. Maybe not even a number 2 receiver. Obviously, Alvin Kamara was by far their best weapon on offense, but there's only so much a running back can do, right? And Jameis Winston carried them to 5-2. I wouldn't say carried. Obviously, they have an elite defense, but if Washington's defense is what it actually was supposed to be last year, especially when facing a softer schedule this year, and we pair that with the Jameis Winston and better weapons on offense, right? Collectively, we don't have anybody. Terry McLaurin might be on Alvin Kamara's level, but collectively we are definitely much better than the New Orleans Saints offense from last year. I think we could get into the playoffs with Jameis Winston at the helm. So I definitely agree with you on that one. But I think, fight for old DC. Pedro, you might have seen my Aaron Rodgers video from a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I don't know. I still have Aaron Rodgers on the table. I know he has like his character, right? And it's not necessarily something that like we'll probably like if he does end up here, and we probably don't even like now. But I think Aaron Rodgers in DC, that would give us not just a fringe playoff contender window. I think that would give us an immediate Super Bowl contender window. I know he hasn't made the Super Bowl since 2010, I believe, but the Packers have been in Super Bowl contention every single year he's had at least a average to above average defense. And I think he'll have that here in DC. So, but in terms of like the best of both worlds, I'd probably go with either Russell Wilson or a legally cleared Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson would probably be if he's legally cleared, I think he would be my top guy just because he's only 25, 26 years old, probably have about 10, 12-year window of elite play. And, for a team that there's always mixing and turning when it comes to the roster, like I think that's very valuable, right? You don't have to win a Super Bowl next year or the year after that. You could win a Super Bowl over the next 10 years, and that would be great. But obviously, it's a lot. That's a lot of allegations, a lot of stuff that I don't think Ron Rivera and co. want to deal with right now. But yeah, that's my take on the quarterback situation via draft and via free agency. But I want to ask you, who do you like at QB potentially in the draft for us?
My guy is Kenny Pickett. I think he's my top guy. I think he, obviously he has the most experience. I think in this class, I mean, he's played 5 years, started for 4 years, had a breakout year this past season. And people are like, oh, he only had one good year. So did Mac Jones. So did Joe Burrow. And the thing, I mean, and you can't just compare everyone to that, but like there are players that only had one good year and are good at, or at least average NFL quarterbacks. And, Pickett, I think the year before in his junior year was dealing with an ankle injury all season. I think you look at his rushing numbers and it's like not that impressive, but he's pretty mobile. He's, very elusive, throws on the run really well. Okay deep ball thrower, good intermediate passer. So I like Kenny Pickett as the number one option. He might not have the ceiling of Malik Willis, but I still think he can be a top 12 quarterback in this league. And getting a top 12 quarterback like that if he gets his ceiling, you're getting a guy under contract for 5 years, and you can 100% win a Super Bowl with a top 12 quarterback, top 15 quarterback in the NFL if he's on his rookie contract. If he's not, I think Kirk Cousins is a top 15 quarterback in this league, but he's getting paid $35 million a year. You can't win with that. But if Kirk Cousins is on a rookie deal and you can use those $30 extra million on other players, maybe you'll be able to. I mean, Kirk Cousins isn't a great time player, so maybe switch with Derek Carr. But you'll be able to win with those type of players on their rookie contract. And Kenny Pickett will be able to play in his first year. If not first year, he'll be ready to go in his second year. And then you look at Malik Willis, probably my second guy just because of the potential, but he's super raw and playing against really bad competition. I mean, yes, he played some good teams, but he also played some really, really bad teams. I like him. I like his potential. He has probably the highest ceiling in this class, but he also has one of the lowest floors. And I think there was a quote about him at Auburn that really concerned me, which was saying I think it was something about him and Bo Nix. He assumed he would get the starting job and he kind of stopped working. That kind of reminds me a little bit of Haskins. He said he learned his lesson, so that is a good thing, but that is a big red flag for me. And I need to in the interview really address that to him, really get him to talk about that, because that to me is very concerning. Reminds me again of Dwayne Haskins, who we don't want to talk about here. But that would be my number 2. And then after that, I mean, none of them really, really interest me in the first round. Matt Corral's fine. He would be a guy that, I don't know, I wouldn't love him at 11, but if you trade back, and that's the thing though, you don't trade back and get a QB. So I don't know, but he's not a guy with pick at 11. And then I like Ritter in like if you get him in a second, or if you really believe in him and you want that extra year on that contract, maybe you trade back into the like 30, 31, 32 and get Desmond Ritter. But I got Pickett and then Willis.
Okay. Yeah, I got Pickett as my number one guy as well, and I know Abdullah, another content creator on this channel, also does. I just like what he brings to the table, and like you said, even though it was a 1 year thing, I mean, we've seen 1 year quarterbacks, especially 5 year quarterbacks, right, in college.
Yeah.
With their last year being their breakout year, really do some nice things in the NFL. So definitely have him as my number one guy. But you know, he's not my number two, or maybe not even my number three guy. But I still think, and I think we talked about him on our live stream, Pedro. But Carson Strong, I know he has the medical issues and stuff, but I'm higher on him, I guess, than like a lot of people out there. I like his arm strength. I like his arm talent overall. But again, you know, there are the medical red flags. So if that doesn't work out like through the combine or through the pro day workouts and all that, then like I think you'll fall down the draft board. But if we're looking for a young quarterback, maybe in the second round, third round, or rounds after that, Carson Strong might be a guy there. But I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't like any of these quarterbacks at number 11 overall. Like, if we're going to draft the quarterback, we need to trade down, or we should draft that quarterback in the second round or later. I don't like all the quarterbacks from last year in the first round, Pedro, I believe, like according to my rankings, would be ranked higher than all the quarterbacks from this year's draft. Like even the Mac Jones of the world, right? Pick 15. I just don't like the quarterbacks in this draft. But if I have to choose one, then I'm going with Kenny Pickett, but not at 11 overall. I still think we have to trade down. But with the scarcity of quarterbacks in the NFL right now,
and you never see teams trade back to get a QB.
Yeah,
like it just it would just put like it would be a bad like vibe. Like, oh, we traded back and got our QB. Like I would not like that. It would be concerning because if you like a QB, who cares? Like if it's like 10 spots like difference. Like obviously you want that extra capital, but if you really like a QB, you're taking him at 11, and if they trade back and let's say they get him at 22, to me that means they don't like him that much. They're doing it just to get a guy. So I would take him at 11. Like obviously he's not the 11th best player in the class, but he's probably more in that 20s range or 30s, but he is a quarterback, so that's valued much higher, and I would be okay with that. I would be okay with Pickett. Willis, that would be, I don't know. Willis is like,
you've already tried out that
very risky pick.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess at 11, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we've already tried the whole Liberty U experience here in DC. I know it was with the receiver, but
yeah, Ritter gives me kind of Dak Prescott vibes. I don't know why. He just gives me those Dak vibes where he's going to be, not a first round guy, not, one of the top guys drafted, but he's going to be able to, start pretty early on. I mean, he has a lot of experience and, kind of like a guy that, is mobile, but not extremely mobile. Both of those guys, Dak and Desmond Ritter are like that. So, I mean, he would be a guy that I would be interested in the second round, because then it's like, okay, you get a guy, you can potentially develop him in his rookie year. And ideally, he is your guy and he turns out to be great. But if not, if he's a disaster, you invested a second round pick and, which obviously you don't want to move on from a second round guy after his first year. But if an opportunity presents itself, like, Russell Wilson next offseason, or someone that we're not even talking about next offseason. I mean, Stafford, I think this is his last year. I mean, he'll probably get an extension done, but like there's going to be guys that are going to be available next offseason. And if you just drafted the guy at 11, that would be a little concerning. Not concerning, but it would be bad if you moved on from a guy after 1 year. But a second round pick, it's a little bit different. And it's not necessarily saying you're giving up on him, especially if you trade for Russell Wilson, teams aren't going to be like, oh, Desmond Ritter, he can't be your franchise guy, or he's not a guy I want, because, I mean, they just traded for Russell Wilson. So I think someone like Ritter would intrigue me in the second.
Okay. Fight for Old DC. Speaking of Matthew Stafford, I agree with this. I agree with, like, trading your picks away for a potential quarterback that could take you, if not to the Super Bowl, then lead you at least to Super Bowl contention. Like, I'm of that mindset too. I know a lot of Washington fans are still feel the trauma of trading away all those picks to get RG3 like a decade ago now. But like, that was a rookie quarterback. I'm talking about a veteran quarterback like a Matthew Stafford, like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Derek Carr, like a Russell Wilson, like a legally cleared Deshaun Watson. Like, I'm of that mindset, Pedro. I don't know if you think the same way.
I mean, like, I'm not saying trade all the picks, but yeah, I mean, if you can get your guy, if you can get a QB, I think I would definitely do it. I mean, you look at like, and it wasn't enough. The first and the third wasn't enough for Stafford, but you look at that first and third, and it's not going to be this bad every year, but Jamin Davis and De'Ami Brown for Stafford, I mean, that's not even remotely close. Like, that is not remotely close. And I would do that 100% of the times. And there was fans like, I remember there was fans saying, "Oh, I'm not I wouldn't give up a second round pick for Matthew Stafford. He hasn't won in the playoffs." And I mean, so you wouldn't give up freaking De'Ami Brown to get Matthew Stafford? I mean, this is ridiculous. I would have given up like 2 firsts plus more. I just think the Stafford thing, it was just really hard for it to work out for Washington because I mean they would have to blow the Rams or the Lions away with an offer. And even then, I mean, I think the Lions really wanted to, respect Stafford and give him his spot where he wants to go. And the Rams also gave him a really good deal. I mean, 2 firsts, a third, and they also, I mean, I think Goff is like negative first round pick, but I don't, necessarily view it that way because, Goff was drafted by their, now GM Holmes. So, we just didn't give up enough. And at the end of the day, I don't think we could. But yeah, I mean, for Russell Wilson, I'm willing to give up a huge amount, a ton of picks, give up a player, Sweat, Payne, like whoever it is. I mean, preferably don't want to give up Chase Young. And I don't think really it would happen. I just don't think that it would ever come up in trade conversations from Washington's end. And I think, Washington would do everything they could to not need to trade him because it's just not smart, in my opinion, this year because his value is as low as it's going to get unless he has another down year. I mean, his rookie year, his value is super high. He just won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Second year, not only does he have a down year, but he also tears his ACL, which I don't think is a huge, huge deal, but there's teams that are going to think that way. So trading him, you're going to get low value for him compared to what I think he could be in the next couple of years. But of course, if it comes down to it and they're like, okay, the only way we're trading Deshaun Watson to you is if you trade Chase Young, I would do it. But ideally, I would give up our picks and then maybe like someone like Payne, Sweat, and then if you have to give up another, defensive player, I would give them a choice of like Holcomb. And I know it's not like a great value. Like Cole Holcomb's not going to be worth like a second round pick, but it might be a player that you plug in right away, like Holcomb, one of the corners, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there, Chase Young. I still can't get over it, Pedro. 1.5 sacks for 10 games. I know you were
2.5. I'll give him 2.5 because the Falcons, he got Matt Ryan down, but they called it roughing the passer for barely touching him. But still super, super, super underwhelming because I thought he was going to have 12 plus sacks.
I was just about to say, I remember you were talking about that hype video.
I was convinced he was going to have a huge year just based off the way he finished. I mean, he was insane in the second half of the year. And I mean, he really didn't do anything he did in the second half, in the first half of the year. I mean, he was doing things differently. Like I think Kai mentioned it. He was like stutter stepping, doing a bunch of different things that he wasn't doing at the end of his rookie year. And I know you're going to say his rookie year wasn't as impressive, but I still think
already know where I'm going.
The second half, backup tackles, but second half of the season, I mean, he was just on another level. And that was, the first half of that year, he was dealing with that groin injury, and he was an impact player in his second half of the season.
No, I mean, he deserved to win Defensive Rookie of the Year his first year, but I mean, there was talk about his inconsistencies in his first year, let alone his second year. I mean, who can forget the I think it was the Washington Post article that came out saying that. Well, I believe it was definitely premature saying, oh, is he a potential bust or is he having an underwhelming season and all that. I definitely think there was some truth to that. Like he was super inconsistent. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year because he made some splash plays that definitely helped us win games. But like you can't tell me he did that throughout the course of the season.
I mean, I agree with that, but I mean, the whole second half of the season, he was pretty like he wasn't inconsistent, like from the Bengals game on. And I believe that's and this is the reason why I thought he was gonna have a huge year was because of the groin injury. And he said, like, I think it was before the Bengals game, he was like, This is the first time I feel like me. This is the first time I feel truly healthy. Because before then, I mean, he was, like you said, inconsistent. I mean, he was one of the reasons we lost the Lions game with roughing the passer, not getting to the quarterback. You know, he had a bunch of weeks without a sack, but then he said he felt healthy. Maybe it was a coincidence, maybe not. And after that Bengals game, he had that huge hit on Burrow. And after that, he was, had a great year. But I agree with you. Very disappointing in his second season. Yes, he was getting double teamed. Yes, he was getting chipped. And, he was good. Good. That's the key word there. He was good. That was not the expectation for him. Like the expectation for him was to be great. And, you can't say, yes, he got, you can't say double teams. He can't get sacks with that. Well, I mean, look at Aaron Donald, look at Von Miller, Myles Garrett, Khalil Mack when he was great. Like all these top guys, they get double teamed and they still get to the quarterback. And Chase Young just didn't. And yes, he's helping the team by getting double teamed, but if you want to be great, you have to be able to get to the quarterback or at least get pressures.
Bro, I cannot tell you how annoyed I am when I see on Twitter people saying, oh, Chase Young got double team, he got triple team. That's why he's not putting up enough sacks, especially during the first half of last season. Like, bro, he was drafted number 2 overall to like overcome the double teams and like at least force some pressures, which he did not do last season. So I said this on Protect Stream. We were both on that. This is a prove-it year for Chase Young. I don't care if he's coming off a torn ACL. Nick Bosa came off a torn ACL and he had, double-digit sacks this year. He was a monster. He was a monster. If Chase Young does not have double-digit sacks this year, it's going to be underwhelming. I'm sorry, it is.
I mean, this is like a little off topic, but they've had kind of similar careers so far. If you look at it, both from Ohio State University. I know, like, there's obviously differences.
Nick Bosa's first year was
both drafted number 2 overall. Both went to Ohio State. Both went to, I know we were 7-9, but both went to playoff teams in their rookie seasons. Like I said, defensive rookie of the year. And then the second year, both tear their ACLs. And then, Nick Bosa had a great year in his third year. We'll see if Chase Young's able to do it. I think at this point, ACLs, like for certain players, it might be a huge deal, but I don't think it's as big of a deal as people think. I think the biggest thing is obviously the recovery time. It takes you 6+ months. And, I'll give a Chase an excuse if the first few weeks he's a little slow. Like if he's like still getting used to it. I mean, you look at Burrow, first half of the season for him this year, and I know it's a totally different position, was not great. It was good, but the second half of the season, he was insane. So I'll give, Chase a little bit of a pass the first few weeks, but he better turn it on in the second half of the season, the last 10 games of the season.
17 game schedule now. He better get to 9.5 or 10 sacks. I'm sorry. Like I know sacks doesn't measure, how everything about a player, especially on the defensive line, but the difference between Jonathan Allen and Chase Young, why I wasn't all up in arms about Jonathan Allen having 2.5 sacks last year, and me, I still called him an elite player even last year, was because Chase Young is an edge rusher. Yeah. As an edge rusher, your number one priority is to get to the quarterback to produce sacks. And if he doesn't do that this year, I know he's a DMV kid and super happy when we drafted him. I'm going to call him out for it. I'm going to call him out because I mean, it's only fair. He's number 2 overall pick in the draft. But moving on from Chase Young and the quarterback situation, I want to get your thoughts on other areas of the team that we could address. And how do you think we should address the free agents that we currently have? Do you think we should retain any of them? Are there guys in the draft or free agency that you would like to bring in? at non-quarterback positions on this team. What are your thoughts on all that?
So I would bring back J.D. McKissick for sure, Joey Sly for sure, and then I would try to bring back Cam Sims. I think, get him for cheap. I think he's a good rotational receiver, good in the locker room, can play special teams, and yeah, I think he would be a good guy to get back. Bob Mccain, like I would try to get back, but like it's not the end of the world if he gets a little bit too arrogant in terms of like, oh, I had four or five interceptions. Like
two of them last week.
Yeah, 2 in the last week of the season. Then I'm like, okay, I don't care. Leave, and I'll go sign one of the other names or draft a guy. I don't know why I'm frozen on my screen. But that's what I would do at the free safety position. If you can bring back Bob Mccain, that's great. If not, then you can, and that's where it becomes a little bit of a, it becomes a big need actually. And you got Jesse Bates, Tyrann Mathieu, and a few other options as well. And then receiver, I think, is another position we need to get. I mean, you look at Terry, he's just been with like no one at the receiver position the last few years. And I think we need to bring in someone else. Maybe a guy like Cedric Wilson would be a low-key option that I definitely wouldn't mind bringing in.
Okay. I don't know if I'm freezing or it's on your end, Pedro.
I
think
it's me, but I think it's back now.
Yeah, it's back now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think by far the number one free agent that we should retain is J.D. McKissick. By far. This guy is so critical to our offense. I'm glad that fans really got to see how underrated of a player he is. I mean, even with him being second in catches for running backs in 2020, a lot of fans still underrated him, and I still think he's a better pass catcher than Antonio Gibson, and I trust him more on third and shorts to get to the marker and give us first downs. And remember, like before we brought him in, right, the Jay Gruden days, that was a huge problem for us, right? So I think he's definitely a must re-sign guy for us, even with the injury that he sustained. I also like, this, Pedro. I do like Brandon Sheriff. I like what he brings to the table. He is a top flight offensive guard. But at this point, I've reached the acceptance phase of him no longer being a member of the Washington Commanders past this offseason. I think he's going to ask for a lot of money, and I don't think he necessarily wants to be here. And that's that. I don't think there's much more discussion we should have about that topic. But Bobby McCain, I mean, I would like to bring him back. Might be too expensive though. He's gonna talk up his stats about how he had four interceptions over the course of the season, 2 of them off of
he dropped.
Who was the Giants quarterback?
Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was gonna say, but J.D. McKissick. One thing, like I will say I was wrong on is it wasn't anything against J.D. McKissick because I knew how good J.D. McKissick was in 2020. But going into this season, I was thinking, maybe we don't need to re-sign McKissick going into the season because I thought not only, I thought Gibson was going to take a huge step in the pass catching game, and I thought they were going to involve him a lot more. And really, neither of those happened. I think they involved him a little bit more. I did not see him take a big step in terms of him pass catching. His hands aren't great in my opinion.
I was just about to say, Pedro, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to say it. It's just not as great as J.D. McKissick.
And I want to see Gibson like actually run a receiver route. Like let him do that. Be a little creative. You have 2 former receivers, one that played receiver in the NFL and J.D. McKissick, and then Antonio Gibson who played receiver in college, and he's still a super young guy. Line them up on the line of scrimmage and actually they do it sometimes with McKissick, but actually let Gibson run some routes. I thought Gibson was going to take a step up this year in terms of pass catching ability, maybe a slight uptick in that, but not really that much. So yeah, I think J.D. McKissick, bring him back. And I recently today made a video about running backs I think we should go after. And I think running back isn't a huge need, but I would not mind us either drafting a guy. I think every year, honestly, teams should, possibly draft guys in the 6th, 7th round because, you look at our 7th round picks this past season, like William Bradley King, I guess he played. Shaka Toney, I like, but, he was worth it. And Dax Milne, who maybe can turn out to be a good slot receiver. And that's honestly a solid hit rate on the 7th round picks they had. Like usually it might even be worse than that. Running backs every year, there's like 2 or 3 running backs that are drafted, after the 4th round or as an undrafted free agent that end up balling out. Like you look at Elijah Mitchell this past season, James Robinson the year before, an undrafted free agent. Like you can easily do that. You can easily do that. But if not, if you don't want to do in the draft, go ahead, do it in free agency, sign a guy. Some names I mentioned, Ronald Jones, Sony Michel. You can get these guys for cheap. Not, maybe not give them that much guaranteed money and see how they look in the off season. And let's say Jarrett Patterson looks absolutely incredible. Hey, maybe you can cut the veteran you just signed like you did like with Adrian Peterson and then Peyton Barber. I think that's something that they could do. But if they're not, if Jarrett Patterson's okay, then bring in that, keep that veteran. And because I think we do need a guy to take some of the carries away from Gibson, not even away, but just like take the workload off of him a little bit because it's concerning the injuries. I mean, this past season, like none of the injuries kept him out for, that much. I mean, not at all really. COVID was the only thing that kept him out, but he had a shin injury, a shoulder injury, a toe injury, a hip injury. That's too much for me. And, you got to think about getting, giving someone else 5-10 carries a game.
Yeah, all I'll say is I hope that turf toe injury is not lingering into the 2022 season because there were reports even last season of it lingering into the 2021 season. So I hope it's all healed up by the time training camp hits and the preseason hits. But I will say, like, in terms of like guys outside of this team that we could potentially bring in a free agency or via the draft, I think Devontae Adams would be too expensive. But in terms of receiver, I like a Chris Godwin. Probably would be too expensive. I know. But I would more so like us to spend our money on a free safety like a Marcus Williams.
Oh, that's the guy. Yeah, that's what I was going to mention.
Yeah. I think he would be a great fit here in DC, and he's super young. I think he's 25, 26 years old as well. And outside of the the play that we all know right now with Stephon Diggs, catching that touchdown when he was playing for the Minnesota Vikings, the game-winning touchdown. Outside of that play, Marcus Williams has been very, very good. So I like him here in DC. And then in terms of draft picks, I think this has been talked about a lot, but I like Nakobe Dean at 11. I think it would fill our linebacker hole very nicely. He played lights out throughout the college football playoffs, and really the entire season was the biggest part, I believe, of Georgia having the elite defense that they had this year, and unfortunately taking down my Crimson Tide. And I also like, I know it's not a huge need. So wide receivers, you got a Drake London, you got a Wilson from Ohio State, but I know this is not a huge need. But I like Derek Stingley. If he falls to 11, like I'm seeing in a couple
more. Or Sauce Gardner too.
Or Sauce Gardner, bro. Like, I mean, you can never have. I remember there was this saying: you can never have too many good cornerbacks in this league, and I definitely agree with, especially with how offenses love to play spread and love to air it out. I definitely think Derek Stingley. I mean, I read a Bleacher Report article of him coming into his freshman year saying this man will be the next legendary quarterback, and I know he's not. He hasn't necessarily lived up to all that hype, right? Because he's not drafted like top 5 or he's not mocked top 5 overall. But if he falls to 11, I'll be tempted to pick him up, really. But really quickly, though, I do want to ask you, with some of the time we have left before the NBA discussion, how far do you think this team is from being a legit Super Bowl contender? Because, we talked about the Crest at the top of the stream and the Super Bowl dates being wrong. But none of that will matter, right? If we ultimately end up winning a lot of games this year and potentially even add a year to that Crest. So, like, what are your thoughts on us being, in terms of the distance, being away from, like, being in Super Bowl contention?
I mean, I don't think we're close just because we don't have a quarterback. And, I mean, once we get a quarterback, like, I feel like if we get an average quarterback, then we're going to be in that playoff contention. Like, we'll be able to win a game maybe. But we'll be in that, phase where we might make the playoffs like 2 out of the, every 4 years, 3 out of the 4, which is much better than what we've had. If we can get a rookie QB on a contract like that, then I think that's kind of our scenario. Jimmy G, on the other hand, you're going to be paying him $30+ million a year. I don't know if you're going to be able to win with him. Even though he is a winner, I don't think you're going to be able to win with him. Definitely not like he did with the 49ers. So I mean, if you get an elite quarterback or a top, not even elite, if you get a top 10 quarterback, I think this roster eventually will be good enough to where they can win a Super Bowl with a top 10 QB. And I mean, it doesn't matter until you get a QB. So I mean, that's my answer. I wouldn't say we're like a quarterback away. I mean, every team, if you give them an elite quarterback, they're a contender. So like, I can't say that, but like, if they can get a solid quarterback, I think they'll be in contention for a while. But I mean, it's hard to come by. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Gotta bring that Virginia native home, Russell Wilson, man. That would be an epic story.
Sure.
I mean, grew up in Virginia, and he had his draft party in Washington D.C. if you remember. So, I mean, it would be epic if he comes. But I agree with you. If we get a top 10 quarterback, I think we have the pieces. We add to the middle linebacker position. We add potentially a receiver. Might be interesting.
Because real quick, Stafford isn't like you might think he is, but I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I don't think he's a top 5 QB. Like I don't think he's a top 5 QB. And they won a Super Bowl with him. He's a top 10-ish QB around there. Some years he'll be in the top 7. Some years he'll be in that top 12, top 13, top 14 range. And they won a Super Bowl with him because they had an amazing roster around him. And because they were aggressive after they acquired him, they went out, traded for Von Miller. They went out, took a risk, signed Odell Beckham. So once you get a quarterback, you're able to take more risks. And Stafford isn't an elite quarterback, but depends on what you define elite. But they're able to win a Super Bowl with him, and I think you get a quarterback like that. I think you'll be able to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, I partially agree with you. I think Matthew Stafford is an elite quarterback, but that's just because I classify the top like 7-ish quarterbacks as elite, and I think he is in that range. But Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, they're definitely in that range as well. And Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in football still at 38 years old.
I would take Wilson and Watson over Stafford. That's me though. Like
that's fair. No, I agree with you. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I do want to get to some NBA conversation. So first and foremost, Washington Wizards. What are they doing right now, man? The Washington Wizards. So they did get Kristaps Porzingis in a pretty solid trade, but I'm so confused by the direction of this franchise. Are we going for a rebuild, which I definitely think we need to do? Follow the route of my Cleveland Cavaliers and just pick up a lot of draft picks. I know it's gonna take some time for the fans to get used to, right? Because we're gonna lose a bunch, but like. Might as well lose and pick up top draft picks. That's my philosophy. What are your thoughts on the Wizards and how they can proceed? And do you think Bradley Beal, do you think he's going to be here for the long term?
Yeah, and just answering Dave's question real quick. Murray's not going to be available, I don't think. I don't think he's going to be available this season at all. Maybe next season again, like maybe there's a little bit of a chance if things really spiral out of control, but I don't think he's going to be available. And so answering the Wizards, I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like I feel like Tommy Shepard's doing the best he can with the situation because, like, I think if he had full control of the basketball operations, which he kind of has, but at the same time, he has Ted in his corner telling him what to do. Like, don't trade Bradley Beal when he probably should have traded him 2 years ago or last season. And I think that Shepard probably would have done that, or he definitely would have done other things. But Ted Leonsis wants that playoff money. He wants them to be respectable because he knows in a rebuild it's going to be a few years where you're not going to get really much attendance money. But at this point, they're not doing that. Right now, they're not getting that much attendance. So the direction of the franchise, not great. And you're really at a bad spot right now because can't trade Beal, and he's probably going to be on he's going to sign the max deal, which I don't know what's worse, him leaving for nothing or him signing the max deal. I mean, I don't know. I guess him signing the max deal allows you to trade him if he has like one good year. you'll be able to trade him. So I guess that's a better scenario. Both scenarios are bad, in my opinion. The best scenario would have been to trade him last season when his value was at an all-time high. But yeah, it's not, I like Shepard, but I don't really like the ownership. And Shepard's made his mistakes too. I mean, the last couple of draft picks, I mean, I like Hachimura. I think that was a good pick. Avdia, though, I don't know. I mean, I guess it was good value at the time, but he hasn't really impressed me that much.
Davis
Especially,
Bertans,
especially offensively. Bertans, I mean, I guess I don't know. The thing with Bertans, I feel like a lot of people at the time wanted us to re-sign him. Like a lot of people wanted us to re-sign him. So I mean, it was definitely a bad deal. There's no excuse for that. And I'm happy. I mean, at least he made up for it by trading him. I mean,
but now he has a $30 million contract on the
books.
books.
He does have a $30 million contract, but he gave up like a $16 million contract and like a $23-24 million contract. So kind of made up for it. And at least Kristaps has good upside. Like if he is healthy, and that's a huge if, then he can be an all-star. I mean, even if he isn't, I think he's averaging like 19 this year. But yeah, he needs to be healthy. But I would take Kristaps. I would take nothing. I mean, we got a second-round pick. I would do a second-round pick for Davis Bertans and Spencer Dinwiddie, getting rid of those guys any day of the week, because that was just a disaster.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Porzingis's injury history. He is injury prone. He's shown that he's injury prone, but I definitely agree. He does have talent. I'm so confused, bro, by the direction of this team. They think that Bradley Beal is a superstar player, but he's been a fringe star player his entire career, and he's the best player on the Wizards, and that's why they want to sign him to a max deal. That's pretty much why. But like on any other team that's actually contending to win a championship, he'd probably be exactly. So I don't know, and maybe not even a second option. I think if you're thinking of about the Cavs earlier, if you're thinking about like the LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love sort of situation in Cleveland, I think he's a mix between like a Kyrie and a Kevin Love. Like he's somewhere in like that range. And but they're gonna give him max money, which is gonna I don't know, bro. I really don't know what to say about the Wizards, because it always seems like they're fiddling around the 7 to like 11 range in the Eastern Conference, and
that's the worst place to be.
Exactly. And I think, I know fans who watch this team every single day or every single game are going to get mad at me for saying this, but they should tank. They should get rid of Bradley Beal. They should, again, get a lot of high draft picks and go from there, but they're not going to listen to me. But we'll talk about the rest of the NBA that brings us actual joy. And so first and foremost, thoughts on the All-Star Weekend festivities, the highs and lows of it all.
So I mean, the All-Star game was good. I didn't get to watch all of it. I got to watch the last quarter where your guy Steph.
Oh, you saw the best, but no, not my guy Steph.
Your guy Steph balled out, but he was terrible at the end. But
he has a lower field goal percentage this year than Russell Westbrook.
I know, I saw that, but Steph, or the All-Star game, I thought, from what I only watched like maybe 20 minutes, was really good. That was good. The day before, terrible. The skills challenge, I watched like a little bit of it. I watched like the first.
It was fun.
Yeah, I watched like the first round, and then went outside a little bit, came back, caught the end of it, the half court. That was good. I mean, it wasn't like amazing, but it was good. And
then Mobley.
That was
Allen
good. And the 3-point contest, good. It's like nothing amazing, but it's a solid event. I didn't like the thing that Curry did in between then, like the Aisha show, whatever. That was annoying. Like, come on, just do the event.
Deserve to get booed.
The dunk contest. This is how bad it was, Nati. I literally stuck through almost the entire thing. And once they got to their last 2 dunks, I was like, this is so bad, I'm turning it off. That's how bad it was. Like, I stuck through all of it, and it was so bad that I was like, okay, I cannot watch these last 2 dunks. I mean, and this is the problem. You cannot expect to have a good dunk contest when you have, I'm sorry, bums as like obviously they're great basketball players, but I'm talking about in terms of NBA
Relatively,
players,
yeah.
these guys are guys either super young or guys that are on the bench. And you can't expect, even if they're great dunkers, which none of them were, maybe Obi
Obi
Toppin's
Toppin, yeah.
okay. He's okay. But even if they were really good dunkers, like it doesn't bring excitement. LeBron James, like he would obviously do way better than any of those guys did. But even if he was the
Even at
one,
37.
yeah, even if he was Obi Toppin and he did the exact same dunk, it would bring more excitement. I think that's the biggest issue. You have to bring in better competition. I mean, next year, LeBron's never going to do it, but LeBron would be good. Zion, if he's able to, lose like 100 pounds.
John Morant.
John Morant,
Woo.
Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine, those guys probably won't do it, but like that would be nice. They next year they have to get way better. Like, I just don't understand how they go into it and think that those four players are going to generate excitement. Like that to me is baffles my mind. Either no one wanted to do it or they're just dumb. And I think they need to, get some more incentives into the dunk contest as well. Like not only money, but like there's got to be something else that they can do to get some advantage there. There's got to be something. There has to be something. And I don't know. It's terrible. The dunk contest, absolutely terrible.
Yeah, to quote Stephen A. Smith, it was a global atrocity. It was really bad. I do like his idea though. I don't know if you heard it, Pedro, on First Take, but like he offered the idea that like maybe they could do like a national or maybe even international tournament among some of the best dunkers like in the world, and then pick out like the top 10 of those people to like showcase at the slam dunk competition. And and then the winner of that competition on Saturday night gets like, I don't know, 500,000, $1 million prize, and they could be sponsored by NBA players. They could be judged by NBA players. I like that idea. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I like it because they're going to be better dunkers, but it's the NBA All Star Weekend. You want to see the NBA players do it. So I think simple solution: get bigger names on there, and whatever it takes. So if it's money, if it's something else, there's got to be a way to get better players than Juan, Toscano Anderson as your guy, or Jalen Green, Cole Anthony, Obi Toppin, who's okay at best.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Before getting to the next question, though, Stephon Gans, I missed this earlier, but should we trade for Jordan Love, Pedro?
I wouldn't mind it. I mean, if they like him, I would not mind it. You can do that, get him and a bridge quarterback or something. I mean, honestly, not no. If you get Jordan Love, you don't
He
need
would
a
be.
bridge. You don't
Yeah.
need a bridge. So that could be a scenario. You have to like him though, and you would have to like him, coming into the draft. But he's not my top choice. But I mean, yeah.
Okay. So Pedro, the NBA 75th anniversary ceremony happened on Sunday night for the All-Star game. So we'll get into the question that I asked you to prepare for via Twitter. But like before getting to that, you still believe LeBron isn't the best player in the game right now?
Best player in the game? I thought you were gonna say best player of all time.
No. We'll get
Um,
to that right after.
I don't know. I mean, the argument could be made. I mean, it depends because I feel like when we have these discussions, like I'll say he's better right now, but you'll bring up like 2 years ago in the playoffs. So I mean, like obviously LeBron is the best player in the last 20 years, of course. But I mean, I don't know. Right now, I definitely could see the argument to be made that LeBron's the best player in the NBA right now. You could argue Embiid, Giannis, KD's been out for a while, but those are the guys I would throw up there with him. But we'll see. Playoff basketball, if LeBron can bring them back into the playoffs, I think they're outside of the playoffs right now. If they can do that, I want to see what LeBron can do in the playoffs. Maybe matched up with the Warriors, that would be nice. Get that Steph LeBron matchup. But yeah, I mean he's up there. I mean he's on my fantasy team. He's balling out. But arguing, he's in that range of Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, and KD. But he's up there. I can't deny that.
Yeah. I mean, if Steph Curry got I don't know if you remember at this point last season, Steph Curry had a lot of MVP buzz, and the Warriors were pretty much in the same position that the Lakers are in right now. And he did not put up as great of stats. He did put up great stats, but he did not put up as great of stats in terms of points, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage, everything. As LeBron's doing this year. LeBron's averaging 29.1 points per game, 7.9 rebounds per game, 6.5 assists per game, 52% shooting, and shooting 35% from three. Most impressive thing to me is that he's shooting 75% for the free throw line, which he hasn't done since his early Heat days. So I definitely think he has to be up there for best player in the game still, which is crazy because, in my opinion, he's been the best player in the game since 2008, 2009, and he's 37 years old. So on that point, though, I do want to get to this because I asked you about this via Twitter, and we'll talk about this right now, given that the NBA 75th anniversary ceremony happened on Sunday night. And I want to ask you, Pedro, who are your top 10 players of all time from that list?
I should have prepared better for this, but I got names in mind. I'll try to get the order. So I'll go.
Okay.
The first one, Jordan for sure.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt, in my opinion, Jordan's the GOAT. And I don't it's really tough for me. I don't know what LeBron can do at this point for me to say he's the GOAT. I don't know. Honestly, it's hard for me. But I mean, there's definitely a way. I mean, if he's balling like this when he's 40, there's no way I can't deny. And he wins another ring or two. There's no way I can't deny that he's a GOAT. I would go LeBron at 2, but I don't know. I got him at 2 for sure. But I think Kareem is underrated. I would put him at 3. 6 rings, 6 MVPs. A bunch of final MVPs. He probably has the best resume out of anyone. But he's not really the guy you want to take the last shot, obviously, because he's center. But I would put him at 3. And then after that, I would say I don't know about specific order, but Wilt Chamberlain, I would put him in the top 10. I would probably put Tim Duncan in the top 10. I know a lot of people might think that's crazy, but I think he's in the top 10. Steph, just kidding. Oh, I wanted to see your face. I forgot. I was thinking about doing that at 4. That would have really gotten you mad. But not Steph. I'm trying to think. Tim Duncan, I said I would put Wilt in there. Bill Russell, I mean, you just got to. I mean, 11 rings, even though he was playing with a bunch of plumbers. I think I would. You have to respect it. 11 rings. So I'll put him on the list. Kobe, Shaq. I'm putting Shaq on the list. So what does that put me at right now?
That puts you at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That puts you at 8.
What's his name? I said Shaq. Just a Magic is up there.
Yep.
Best point guard for now, I guess, of all time. He could get.
Whoa. For now,
Steph could pass him.
Okay.
Do you see?
We'll have that discussion.
I don't watch First Take at all. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for me. But I did see a headline today or yesterday about Stephen A. Smith saying.
Oh, I disagree with that. But go ahead.
Yeah, he could. What did he say? That there could be a case made for Steph being top 10 all time.
Mm-hmm. I think that's blasphemy to use his words, but okay.
Okay.
What's your 10th player, Pedro?
I'm trying to think of who I'm missing right now. Give me
Larry
some
Bird?
names. What?
Larry Bird.
I don't know. Any other names? I don't know. Larry Bird's
KD.
KD, nah. I mean, Larry Bird's up there, but I don't know if
Hakeem Olajuwon.
I don't know. I feel like I got too many guards up there. Or not guards. I got too many centers up there. Kareem, Bill Russell, Chamberlain, Shaq. But I mean, I guess I could put Larry up there. I could put Larry at 10. I think I could put him at 10. 3 rings. I think 3 MVPs. I forgot. But yeah, I would put probably Larry at 10. Yeah.
Dave in DC agrees with you. Magic, Bird, Jordan are in his top 5. That's fair. That's definitely fair. My list. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, the last kind of 5 to 6 weren't in order, but they're all in my top 10. But I think the top 3, top 4, kind of for sure. I have Jordan, LeBron, and then Kareem.
That's definitely fair. Yeah, my top 3. It's I don't think it's ever going to change in my lifetime, and that's Jordan, LeBron, Kareem. And the order could change because I still think if LeBron wins one more, I've been saying this for a couple of years now, even before the 2020 chip. I said back then if he wins two more. Now if he wins one more chip and one more MVP, I think he's my
Okay,
GOAT. He's
the
my
thing is,
personal GOAT.
though, I think it
Even though
depends.
it's hard,
There
yeah.
has to be context, though, because if he wins when he's 42 and he's the third option, well, again, I don't think it's going to happen, but if he's 42, he's the third option on his team, Bronny's the MVP. I'm joking.
I don't think that's ever going to happen, though,
Yeah,
Pedro.
but like, I think he has to be the number one option on the team, or at least be like
1B.
debatably number one, or 1B, or still 25 guy, 24 a game. That counts. But if he's like averaging 19, 20, 21, then I'm like, okay, that it counts as a ring, of course. But in terms of like, helping his GOAT conversation, I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you. Another ring and an MVP, that's when it's like, oof, it's super, super tough.
Yeah, because I think that 2016 championship, the greatest achievement by any NBA player of all time. So putting that into consideration, I think if he wins one more chip, he wins one more finals, not finals, one more MVP, which is gonna be hard because he's playing for the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna win another one.
I heard that he might want to stay in LA, and I'm like, no, he should go back to Cleveland, honestly, because Cleveland has Darius Garland, who is a superstar point guard in the making. I made this point, bro, in my in our chat, in our DMV Sports Zone chat, and I'm sticking by it. I think when it's all said and done, Darius Garland will be a better point guard than John Wall. I definitely agree that's going to happen. I definitely do. I already see the signs right now, and I think it's going to happen. People might think that's blasphemy, but I watched enough Darius Garland to already know that that's going to happen. And then you have Evan Mobley. I think a mixture of Kevin Garnett and Chris Bosh on the offensive end. And you have Jarrett Allen, who is one of the best young centers in this game. So I think he would be – Colin Sexton will come back from injury. I think that would be a great fit for LeBron because all they need is a big-time three, and he's a big-time three still. But in terms of my top 10 list, let's get to it. So Jordan, LeBron, Kareem. LeBron could get to number one if he wins, again, one more MVP and one more championship. And at number four, I have Bill Russell. Number 5, I have Magic Johnson. Number 6, I have Kobe Bryant. Number 7, I have Will Chamberlain. Number 8, I have Larry Bird. Number 9, I have Tim Duncan. And number 10, I have Shaq. That's my top.
So we have the same guys.
Pretty much, yeah.
The same exact guys. The order is a little bit different, but I didn't even have like the last 5 didn't really have an order. But like, yeah, I agree with those. And I mean, some of those could be switched around. But where do you have Magic?
I have him at 5.
Okay, yeah, I can go with that. Yeah.
But on the Steph Curry bro, get the what out of here. Not you specifically, but anybody who thinks that, bro. I watched them up close and personal every single second of those finals. There is a reason why he has 0 finals MVPs, because he was not the most important player that contributed to his team's success during those finals appearances. It was either Kevin Durant or, believe it or not, Andre Iguodala deserved that finals MVP because his defense, in my opinion, was more valuable on LeBron, even with LeBron averaging 30 points a game, than Steph Curry's scoring, Steph Curry's three-point shooting. Because Steph Curry is not a clutch player whatsoever. People talk about LeBron James not being clutch. Steph Curry, everybody remembers his 2 or 3 clutch three-pointers in his entire career, but outside of that, he has never been a clutch player. Sure, he makes clutch maybe threes at the beginning of the fourth quarter, but I'm talking about late.
Yeah.
3 minutes left in the game, finals games. He's just not clutch. He's willy-nilly with the ball, careless with the ball, turns it over too much, and he doesn't play defense. That's his biggest flaw. How can you be top 10 all time when you don't play defense, bro? I'm sorry.
This is off topic, but one guy I think that is a current player that could definitely be top 10 all time, and that's Giannis. I feel like Giannis for sure could get there. I mean, what does he have? 2 MVPs, 1 or 2 Defensive Player of the Years. He's got a ring, Finals MVP. He's 27, so I mean, he's probably going to get another ring there. And I mean, he's MVP candidate every single year for the last like 4 or 5 years. And I mean, nothing's going to change. I think. I mean, there's no reason for it to change. I mean, like literally, he's elite really at a ton of aspects of his game. Only thing is shooting, and a lot of times shooting comes with age. So I mean, he could even improve more, which is scary. But that's something there. And then there's some guys though, like Luka has a ton of potential. Like he's got a crazy amount of potential.
But he doesn't play defense either, bro.
Yeah, he doesn't play.
Like,
He doesn't play defense. I'm not saying he's going to be top 10, but like he has the potential to be a a guy that's a MVP candidate, like a perennial MVP candidate for sure. Yeah. And KD obviously could be a top 10 guy as well. It's just like the thing is like a lot of people are going to get hung up on is like the rings. Like the rings that he got were, I don't know. They weren't. They're no, go ahead.
No, I thought you were talking about in terms of the quantity, because doesn't Will Chamberlain have 2 rings?
No, yeah, not the quantity, the quality of the wins, because he did join a super team.
But then you could say the same thing about Steph. That's my point. And he won. KD won Finals MVP.
The thing with Steph though, is at least it's organic with him, and he was the one who he got drafted there and he helped build that culture. KD just came in, and they already had won a ring before too. So I don't know.
Bro, they won it with a Cavs team that didn't have Kyrie or Kevin Love for the entire finals. Kevin Love for 2 series, not just the finals, because he had that torn rotator cuff, I believe, by Kelly Olynyk, who a lot of Wizards fans hate as well. But like, bro, like even that ring was fluky. The Cavs' second best player was Matthew Dellavedova. Like, I don't know, man.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but I think, I mean, there's a lot of rings I feel like you can say like that. Like, I mean, you look at the Raptors ring. This is like what 3 years ago at this point. Like, I mean, KD was out for basically the entire series. Clay was hurt.
I lost.
DeMarcus Cousins was hurt. I mean, he was like in and out. So I mean, like you can say that about a lot of the rings. But I think KD, like if he can get one more ring, wherever it is, if it's in Brooklyn, like yes, Brooklyn, they did form a team there, but like a super team there before with Harden and them, but like
it wasn't already a super team.
It wasn't. It wasn't, and he didn't like. It was just the way he did it. It just was messed up, in my opinion. Like he just played a team 73-9. That he lost to them, and he decides to join them
after being up 3-1.
Yeah, don't forget that point. That's just a weak move, like Stephen A. Smith said. And I just think like he's got to win. If he can, like the quantity doesn't matter to me. If he can win one more ring, and it's like not a super team, like if he can win this year or the next couple of years, then that's when like he can be in the top 10. But if he doesn't do that, I don't think, in my opinion, he can get there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think KD, for as much as we like to hate on his move to Golden State and stuff, I definitely think he's definitely, like the ESPN list pointed out, he's definitely better than Steph Curry all the time. I think as a player, like a lot of people forget, this man's was literally LeBron versus KD when KD was on the Thunder. Like this man's was insane for a good, 14, 15 years now. Like he's been really good, and I definitely think he's on the fringe. Maybe he's like 11 or 12, but if he wins another championship, I definitely think he could be top 10. He has all the talent in the world. I will also say this: KD's move to Brooklyn is what LeBron's move to Miami was like. A lot of people like to say, oh, LeBron's move to Miami was just like KD's move to Golden State. I disagree. The Brooklyn Nets were a playoff team, right, without KD, but they were nowhere. They weren't going to sniff the finals, right, without him. Just like the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat were, I believe, also a playoff team, or at least playoff caliber. And then they brought on LeBron, and that's how they started to win games. But the Golden State thing, bro, like you said, like Stephen A. Smith said before he doubled down after talking to his mom, Katie's mom, the weakest move in NBA history. And I hate to say it because he is from PG County, right? He reps DC strong. He was a Redskins fan. I was a Commanders fan, and but yeah, the weakest move in NBA history, 73-9 team. You being as great as you are, up 3-1, and you join them. It is what it is. But David DC saying Wade was amazing to watch live for sure. I agree with you. Forget about Kobe. I didn't forget. I saw him at I still have him at 6. He's still in my top 10. He's not at 10 like ESPN's list said.
He's in my top 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess we can end it off. Steve Jocko wants Aaron Rodgers here. Me too, bro. Me too. Fight for old DC. Where will the new stadium be? I guess we can end it off on this question.
Probably Loudon. I mean, Loudon County. It's pretty close to where I live. I mean, I'd rather it be in DC, but I'd rather it be in Virginia than Maryland, in my opinion, because
you and I both.
There's more Virginia, Washington Commanders fans, I guess, than there is in Maryland, and Maryland, it just makes sense. Like, obviously, it is DMV, but
got the Ravens.
Yeah, you got the Ravens there, and I don't know. It's way too far to get to Landover, in my opinion. And it's, hopefully they get it in DC. I really hope they do, but I don't know. It's going to be tough. And if they can't get in DC, go ahead and do it in Virginia. That's my prediction, Virginia. But I hope it's DC.
Yeah, I mean, as a Virginia native, I think Fairfax County native, like you as well. I still would put DC at number one in terms of locations for this team. And I know we're talking about the past and the glory days and how they won in DC, but I think everybody's in agreement that winning in DC, right, would just be like amazing, right? Like the whole town would go crazy, the whole area would go crazy. And I just would love the fact that we would have an NFL team that has Boston in its name play in DC, just like the Nationals, just like the Capitals, just like the Wizards.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm in agreement with you in that Virginia would be better than Maryland, but like I still DC is still my top.
Oh yeah, DC's number one for me. Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, Pedro, thank you so much, bro, for joining this live stream. Had a lot of fun conversation around the Washington Commanders team, quarterback situation, Landon Collins. We talked about the Wizards. We talked about the NBA, giving our top 10 list. Thoughts on the Jordan LeBron debate. My guy LeBron, and not my guy Steph. But yeah, it was a fun one. Youngkin better get it done. We'll see. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Pedro, is there anything else you want to plug before we sign off?
Yeah, just go ahead, subscribe to my channel, follow my Twitter, which is in the description of my videos, and check out my video I posted today about the running backs. You got into it a little bit with some running backs I think we should go ahead and sign. For sure. And like DC for Life is saying, with the 11th pick, the Commanders select, or the insert team name here selects. If we trade away that pick, we shall see. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the DMV Sports Zone channel. We like to post fire content on here as much as possible. Also, go follow our Instagram page, all lowercase DMV Sports Zone, Twitter page at DMV Sports Zone, and our brand new TikTok led by Abdullah. That's going crazy right now, actually. DMV Sports Zone there as well. So have a good rest of your night, guys, and see you on the next one. Peace.